Hello, and a big welcome to all of you out there who are listening and seeing this video today. And today I have a guest from the other side of the world. It's fantastic. Welcome to you, Marie Madder. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be on the podcast. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing to sit and talk to a woman on the other side of the world, and we have a lot in common. Where in Australia are you from?
So I'm in South Australia in Mount Gambier. So it's the southernmost part of South Australia. So it's the southeastern part, right near the border of Victoria. So it's about a 4-hour drive between Melbourne and Adelaide, which are two main cities. So we chose right in the middle. So I have
Oh,
students come over
wow.
from both directions to come and
Yes,
train here. Yeah.
that's super. Yeah. Tell us a little about what you're doing.
Okay. So I own Australian Baroque Riding Academy, which is a classical dressage school. And I also combine my other passion, which is brain science. And I have a cognitive neuroscience degree from university that I obtained in probably 2002 now. So I'm combining my two main passions to produce thinking equestrians who are not only empathetic to the horse's welfare and needs, but they also look after themselves as well. So, as adults come through my school, we work on some neurofeedback, which is basically training the brain to be calm. So, people pop a headband on and we read their brain waves through my iPad. So the headband's connected via Bluetooth to my iPad. And when they're calm, they sit for 5 minutes quietly. When they're calm, they'll hear a river flowing the whole time that they've got the headband on. Then when they're calm, they'll be able to hear birds chirp. And instantly, when they hear the birds start chirping, our brain will attend to that. And then the birds stop chirping. So it's a way of starting to train yourself to let that calm state happen and let yourself get into the flow and continue to be in the flow and sort of calm and relaxed state. And I find that breaking that pattern of everyday life for people coming into my school is really important. I've also done some significant research that hasn't been published yet and probably won't be published till I'm about 80 at this rate of how horses actually affect our brain waves. And so if when people are grooming the horses and have the headband on, I would say they get 4 to 5 times the number of birds that they get when they're sitting just nice and relaxed in a meditation state. So it really showed me in hard science when I was first got this device a year and a half ago. It really showed me that horses do a lot for us. So our heart rate goes down, our blood pressure reduces, and we can just have that almost soul connection with the horse when we're grooming them
Yeah.
before we even, work with them or even sit on them.
Mm.
There's that
Ju-
connection.
Just the smell and the chewing and everything. It's so fantastic.
Yeah, and it's so good for us. So I wanted to set up a really vibrant community here where I guess particularly women, but everybody who walks through the door, they leave their troubles behind, or we talk about their troubles and they just go, oh,
Mm.
and they can just feel that sense of calm just walking in the door because they know that for the next hour or 45 minutes or hour and a half, however long we spend together, is for them and for the horse. So the horse leaves um, feeling that they feel better for having come in and worked, and the humans feel better as well. So it's equally as important horse welfare as what it is human welfare here.
Yeah, it's so important that you are in a special state when you come to the horse because if you are angry and stressed and all these things, you see it in the horse immediately.
Yeah. And so I see a lot go on when people are trying to float their horses, or I think you guys call it trailering horses, or putting them on a, I don't know what people across the world call call the boxes that you put the horses on, but we call them floats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And a lot of the really bad behavior and what's deep down inside of us comes out in those
Mm,
instances where we might be stressed, or we have some time constraints, or things going on. And how do you differentiate, and how do you stop those feelings arise really quickly, or even noticing that those feelings are coming? Often people get in such a state that they don't even realize that they're there, but the horses are saying everything to
mm,
them, and they're practically yelling at them to relax and calm down, and it's horse time. It's not how quickly we think it should be done. It's all about the horse,
mm,
and how they perceive the situation that's going on, and just getting humans to understand that they see and feel life differently to what we do. So we need to be really mindful of that when we're interacting with them, because they're prey animals and we're predators. So
yeah.
how do you get those two really unique things that happen within our brains? How do we get them to find a lovely common ground where the prey doesn't feel threatened and the predator doesn't feel threatening to the prey? So yeah, it's quite a unique skill to have, particularly to be able to calm your mind enough to think clearly, and to remain relaxed despite what's happening.
And as you said, it's not only in the horse world this is good for us. It's everything, your job and when you're driving, and to have that skill to see yourself from outside and think, wow, calm down, and
Yeah,
we'll take it from
yeah,
here.
yeah. It is incredibly powerful, that self-awareness, and frequently it's the human, or all of the time it's the human that needs the coaching,
Mm,
not the horse. Because even wild horses, you can connect with them on a certain level if you're not in a predatory zone.
yeah.
And it's really unique to be able to. I have had some interactions with wild horses that have been really unique and amazing, because I'm not in that state, and my heart rate isn't up and my blood pressure isn't up, and it's just about connecting or being near them is
Mm.
all I'm expecting. Yeah,
It's the energy that you
correct.
give and
Yeah,
take. Mm.
yeah.
So it's classical riding, and tell us more about what that is.
Yeah, so it's not the traditional German heavy hands. It's more of the French classical dressage that I was always gravitated towards, where you would see in France the aristocrats riding the horses, and you get to a point where you don't really know what you're looking at, but you know that it feels good. And you can see that the horse's eyes aren't rolling back, and their ears aren't pinned, and their mouth isn't clenched shut or tied shut. That the horse actually looks almost whimsical, or beautiful in the way that they move. And I was really attracted to that way of training, and I didn't realize almost how spiritual that way of training was, in that we really need to step back out of, I have a goal and I need to get here by this date. And going really slow is actually going really fast in the long run, because the horse absolutely will respond to you and be everything you want or need it to be, if you give the horse the time to connect with you and understand what it is you're asking. So I like my horses to be curious with the work, and be curious in me, and not come into the arena and be, oh, this again.
Mm.
Oh, I'm so tired of this. I don't want to be a school horse anymore. And particularly for school horses, you don't want students pulling on their mouths or
Oh.
kicking them in the ribs or squeezing them too hard. So we absolutely start with balance work. So everybody that comes, no matter how experienced they are, they all have their stirrups taken away, they have the reins taken away,
Mm.
and they're put on a lunge, and we do seat work, and
Yeah.
we work on where they're at in the scale of balanced or imbalanced. And so I find that when people become unbalanced physically, that's when they start to mentally become unbalanced, and it becomes this cycle of, oh, I'm not safe, I'll lean forward, I cling on, and that's actually our brain signaling that we're not safe. And
Mm.
safety is one of those key pillars of us feeling okay in our world. And when that gets compromised, our body has certain actions that it naturally does. So you don't see a confident person walking around town sort of curled forward or looking down at the ground. They have their shoulders back, they have their chest out, they seem to float through life, and their step is light, and you can see that, and we're often attracted to that because
Mm.
that's I don't know, for humans that is the epitome of safety, having confidence and I'm not talking about overconfidence, because we can get that as well.
Mm.
And so in the school I teach how to have that balance through your seat, how to have that balance through your upper body. We talk about where our brain is at. We talk about where our head is, and how our head is one of the heaviest parts of our body because it contains our brain and a whole lot of bone structure in there as well. And that, a simple looking over to the left can elicit a massive movement from the horse. So often we don't know that we're getting in our own way when we have a leg clung on. I get a lot of students who cling their legs on really tight to the horses as they're moving, and the horses then find that they can't take the deep breaths that they need to take because they've got two legs clutched to their sides, or a leg going bang, 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 bang on their side all the time. And so my horses get quite, I guess, stroppy, upset if I get riders who are clinging on. And the horses tell me every time, even if I can't see the outside leg when I'm teaching, I absolutely know when that outside leg is on. And it's a really lovely conduit to be between the horse and the rider. And they think that I'm a magician understanding the horse
They
so well,
gossip.
but
Come on, they're doing the wrong.
they're doing the thing again.
Yeah.
And only when they sort of understand their biomechanics and understand where the humans are in space and time and where their center of gravity should be is when they'll get the reins. Because I absolutely don't want students leaning forward, clutching on the reins, trying to
No.
pull the horse up. Because I've taught my horses levade, I've taught them how to rear, I've taught them piaffe and Spanish walk. So something might pop out of the horse,
Mm.
but it won't be that they're doing the wrong thing. It's that the riders inadvertently asked for that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. So balance is the key initially, and then they graduate. So initially, I actually set them practically bareback with some handles. On a bareback pad, and I pop another pad on top so that they can start to feel the hind legs coming in underneath um, their for lack of a better word, bum, um, underneath their seat. They can feel, the hind legs coming
Mm.
forward. They can feel the shift of weight and how the horse doesn't even need to move physically, and they can shift their weight on the spot. And humans in general are fascinated by this idea that you can do so little but
Mm.
have such a big effect on the horse.
Yeah.
So it produces thinking, feeling riders who are really in tune with the horses. So unfortunately, or fortunately, they go out and see the show world and see the competition world and are quite horrified and come back to me and say, what is going on? Why are their mouths taped shut or, zipped up shut? Why are their legs going? Why are they wearing spurs? Why are they, what is happening? And I have to deconstruct a few of those ideas that they have about competition being the epitome of riding and being the top level, and saying, well, we do it for an art form because we love the horses and put their welfare as number one. We don't put the results that they get at a competition as number one. And that's never how we will operate. So I attract a different type of people who either have competed, have finished competing and think, is there more to this? Is there more to the life of being with horses than competition? And I just welcome those people with open arms, because you only do better when you know better.
That's
and
right.
how do you know what you don't know?
So you are using your own horses for the students, or do they have their own by themselves?
Some students have their own horses, but a majority use my horses and then potentially go on to buy their own horses. And then we go through that's a whole nother process of then training the horse that they've got to, be supple and relaxed, because a lot of horses come to me, and practically every horse I've ever had come to me will rush from trot into canter, will, if we're asking for a more collected gait, they might try and sort of run on from that instead of collecting up, and it's just what they've learned how to do. But once they start to work out that you're talking a little bit in their language, you see them change and go, hang on, did she just make sense? That just felt good. And then they stand at the gate and wait to be brought in, because it kind of feels good for their body when they leave, and they're not running away and they're not turning away when you go into the paddock. They want to come in and they want to, have that feeling of not being rushed or not having somebody bounce on their back. And so if somebody's bouncing on a horse's back, you know that there's a disconnect between their balance, and we work on that immediately. I don't let them bounce and feel uncomfortable and then get into their head and go, oh, I'm a terrible rider, I shouldn't be bouncing on this horse. And the same with, I have a lot of children in my school as well. And by gosh, are they amazing to teach.
Yeah.
Because they're the next generation coming through. And they're learning these techniques of being calm and relaxed. And when they get their first canter that feels amazing, they're so over the moon that they could feel something like that. Or when they get to do a levade or a rear levade, they no longer become fearful of a horse rearing.
Wow.
Because they know what to expect and how it feels. So I'm teaching them safety with something like that. If they ever get a horse that does rear, they're not going to pull on the reins and lean back. It's not a thing. It doesn't happen, because it's a very slow movement when a horse rears. So they have time to think, because I'm teaching them logically how to feel the horse's movement underneath them and how to stay balanced with that. So same with if they're doing half pass, they're not, I call it verandaing out the side. They're not leaving one of their seat bones behind. They're actually in time with the horse as we move over sideways, and they get to have that feeling of connectedness with the horse, whether it's in walk or trot. It's a very unique experience to be able to introduce that to people and have them do those fairly high level movements without too much of a difficulty. So although it can be complex, it's quite simple. And as Craig Stevens would always say, it's simple, but it's not easy,
That's
because we
right.
have to get out of our own way and not annoy the horse.
Hmm.
Yeah. And as my riding develops more and more, I realize that the horses are teaching me more and more. And so, say my cues for canter are becoming even more refined. And when I explain the cues for canter to a student that I'm doing, sometimes they don't believe me that it will work. And it's having that 20 seconds of belief to go, no, if I put weight in my outside seat bone, they might do it.
Mm.
And then boom, it happens from walk to canter. And it's marvelous to witness that development,
Wow.
like the
Yeah.
the love and the excitement that you see on
Mm.
their face is just, it's absolutely priceless. And yeah, I just love to see that development from day one, where they're not quite sure what they're coming into, because I'm a little bit different to the other riding schools that are around,
Mm.
and to them going, oh, I can't go anywhere else. This is amazing. This makes me
Mm.
feel amazing. I know that I'm nourishing the horses. Like, what more could you want? I'm feeling calm when I leave. I feel like the weight of the world has been taken off my shoulders, and
Mm.
everyone leaves a little bit lighter.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I can imagine you have children as well. What a person it will be when they grow up, when they have this groundwork. Fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. And they learn groundwork, and everybody grooms the horses before we ride. I don't
Mm.
have people grooming the horses for them. So
No.
they're not tacked up when they get here. They have to do that, because I like them to see what the horse is like before they get on. And then we talk through, okay, today he's got a little bit of energy. Wonderful. Let's use that energy. Let's do some piaffe today, or some levades, or let's do a big working trot, or let's do some canter today. Or if the horse is looking a bit tired because it's been raining or been a thunderstorm the night before, okay, let's do an in-hand work.
Mm.
Let's work from the ground. Let's supple his body up today in a different way. And so we get to work with the horse that we've got, rather than the horse that they think they should have, or the horse that they think that they need to have to get to where they think that they need to go.
Mm.
So I think that's a really important mindful part of what I do, is show up each day authentically of where I am in life, and I leave my issues at the door and go, oh, okay,
Mm.
here we are, another amazing day. And the students then get to acknowledge, okay, I'm feeling really tired today, or I've had this going on and this is how I'm feeling. We talk through it, we do our brain training, and by the end of that, they're now ready to connect with the horse in grooming.
Mm.
And so
Think
it's
if every people had that chance just to relax once a week and go through your own body. There's so many people who needs that.
absolutely. And if I find that they're sticky or stiff in their hip, or they're walking funny, we'll stretch beforehand and go, okay, well, that muscle group is really sore. So when you do this, and this in the saddle, that's going to hurt. So let's stretch that muscle group out first, so that you're actually giving yourself half a chance to be able to feel what you need to feel in your body.
Mm.
Because we don't give our bodies enough time to just be and check in with ourselves and go, okay, how have I been sitting at work? Often we're sitting a bit like this, or
Mm.
I'm finding it, and this is probably unique to this generation of children, who are very, very, and I'll show you from the side, who are very curled like this, because
Yeah.
they're on devices a lot,
Mm.
and their spines are actually starting to curve, and their
Oh.
necks are jutting out. And so I'm constantly readjusting their backs to say, no, this is upright.
Yeah.
This is where upright actually is. And it's a whole lot more upright than they think it is. And so I might take a picture for them on my phone at the time and say, see, this is where in space and time you actually are. And they'll go, oh my gosh, I didn't think I was leaning forward that far.
No,
Or, oh
you
my
can't
gosh, my
feel it
legs are,
when you
you
have
can't.
done it a lot of times. You can't feel it.
Yeah. So we
Mm.
do a lot of, shoulder rolls and particularly for children and adults who lack a lot of confidence, this way
Mm.
of riding is amazing. It really starts to instill that I'm worthy and I can do something with a 600-kilo animal that, not a lot of other people can do like this. And
No.
they start to believe in themselves and you can see that unfolding along the way. And it's it just, when they get it and when they have that, I call it a silver horse moment, when they have the silver horse moment where everything clicks, and it might only be 2 steps, we stop and celebrate it
Mm.
because I can see it. And if people are watching in the gallery, so we have a pew that people sit on, to, it's kind of like a church, to watch in the indoor arena, everybody feels it. And it's this amazing, it's called the grand mean, where everything sort of geometrically comes into alignment. And even if you don't know, you know that
Mm.
something beautiful has happened in front of you.
Mm.
And I explain that to the parents or to the husbands or whoever's watching, that that's what just happened, that it's really incredible. And I try to give them something to remind them of that moment, because that's what we hold on to as equestrians, is those beautiful moments. And it might be a little necklace or a bracelet or something that I've got stored in the cupboard for those moments. And I remember when I was learning with Sarita Stratton, she called them silver horse moments. And I always remember mine in Canter, that it was just a beautiful transition, and it just felt like heaven. It felt
Yeah.
like we were floating in space and time. And I've had a lot of those since then. And it's really important to remember that first one, the
It
first
is.
moment that
It
you
is.
had.
I remember mine as well, and it gives you that connection that you can use, as you said, on another horse. Maybe when you're starting with a young horse, you know exactly what it is you want to feel in your body and the horse.
Yeah. And if you don't celebrate that and you don't draw the brain's attention to it immediately, it'll just gloss over it and you'll forget that moment. And that's why I make such a good. Oh, have you lost? Whoops. I'm so
I'm he-
sorry. I
I'm
think I
here.
lost connection. Ah,
I'm still here.
okay. And you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud
Okay.
and clear.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So when you have those moments, if you lose them in the buzz of whatever goes on in life, it just, it doesn't have the same effect as taking a moment out to celebrate that and to really embed it. And then when we are doing brain training, we can go to that moment and remember it and use it
Mm.
as an anchor for becoming calm.
Yeah.
So I use that particular moment on my
Mm.
horse as my trigger for becoming calm,
Yeah.
which is really, it's really amazing. And I was working with this neurofeedback technology 20 years ago,
Mm.
developing that technology. So when I realized it was on the open market and I could buy a headband as a user, I was so excited that I
Yeah.
could then implement that into my school.
Mm.
And it's really made a huge difference.
I can imagine. And also when people see it or hear it with their own eyes and ears, it's a difference. I usually tell them to have a picture when they were happy to put up on the wall, so they can get that feeling back again. that is
Yeah,
also
wonderful.
yeah.
Wonderful. Apologies. My phone's being funny.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
Okay.
so you have been doing this for some years, and what is your what is your vision in the future?
Oh, wonderful. So, yes, I've been teaching since 2011. Um, and my vision has evolved from teaching only adults on their own horses to finding a property to making an indoor arena happen out of 10 stables to opening up to the public. Um, and now I've released a mindset course online on my website where people can go through just how to deal with fear, how to show up for themselves, how to be mindful in daily life. So that's a 6-part course. And then I will be offering more online courses, and I've got a membership on my website as well. But I want to take this as far as I can and reach as many people as I possibly can, either teaching online, um, or traveling around, mainly Australia. My husband has a brain injury, and he acquired that 6 years ago, falling off a ladder, and
Wow.
fractured the base of his skull, and an air pocket went into his brain. So he's
Oh.
now permanently disabled, and this is my love job and this is my passion. And rather than working in a corporate environment, which I was in
Mm.
before, I just couldn't look after him and pursue the business or pursue corporate life at the same time. So I pivoted and went back to what I've always wanted to do and said, well, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So off I went and have just been following my dreams. I've recently started pony parties for children, which has been amazing to just introduce children to the idea of having a pony ride, but also teaching them about confidence and sitting up straight. And although they might only be on the horse for 5 minutes and then playing games, of the 11 or 12 parties I've done, everyone has left so happy, really, having the best time ever. So I'm diversifying my portfolio a little bit for the
Yeah.
local community so that I can become a household name, really. So I do a lot on social media, and I just recently won Equine Training Provider of the Year,
Wow.
in Australia,
Congratulations.
with a global company that they haven't officially announced it yet, but when they do, I'll make sure that I put something up on my page that just says what the judges saw on my website and through talking to me and through them asking me to put through an application. So yeah, that was nice to have that acknowledgement that
Mm.
what I'm doing matters, and no pun on my last name on that.
Yeah.
And we like to have fun here, and I don't like it to be that really serious, stuffy environment where you've got to be wearing a certain thing, and if your boots aren't polished, you can't come. That's not who we are. We're really authentic. Come as you are, and we'll talk you through it,
Mm.
and talk you through how you're going. So I've also started a groundwork clinic group of maybe 6 adults who all have their own horses. And I've received really great feedback from that we learned with my horses, then they went away and practiced with their horses at
Yeah.
home, and got some really great results from it, just from changing their mindset a little bit. And
Mm.
instead of looking here, they're sort of looking a little bit more like this, and having a bit of a wider scope, a wider view of what's actually going on. and making smart decisions. So if they're upset or angry or something's going wrong in the day, you don't have to go out and work the living
No.
daylights out of your horse just because you're having a bad day, and that it's
Right.
okay to not work the horse on that day, and just giving people the permission to lay it down if it's not the right day for them, or if it's a thunderstorm and it's, there's lightning and thunder, why get on a horse on that kind of a day?
No. Well.
Like, you're not proving anything to anyone being out in the drenching rain,
Wow.
forcing your horse to do what you want it to do. They'd much rather be in the paddock with their friends. Much rather. So just giving people that permission to just take it easy and not have those sky high expectations, because I'm in it for the long haul
Yeah.
and for the whole journey with my horse, and I want to keep their longevity. I want them to live as long as life will let them. So how do I keep them sound through that? Yeah, it's through
That's
making
right.
smart decisions. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds fantastic. And yeah, I really hope you get a lot of people, because as I said, if you teach children, they will have this with them all their life.
Yeah. And I always
Mm.
think about how I was taught as a child, and I wasn't taught in a bad way, but I was
No.
longing for this as a child.
Mm.
This this was what I was looking for my whole life.
Mm.
A softer, kinder, and I'm not saying softer in a way of the horses walk in my space and bite me, or, and I go, oh, isn't that cute? No, it's I still we still develop horsemanship skills and have respect for each other and kindness for each other, but we don't over expect or over exaggerate what we want, or, get into that vicious mode that we have to get better, or we have to, be better all the time. We could just sit relaxed and calm and probably achieve more.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So how will people find you? You have a
So yeah, I
website
have
and
a I have a website, www.australianbaroqueriding.com.au. I have a Facebook page, Australian Baroque Riding Academy. I'm on TikTok under the same name. I'm on Instagram. Uh, I'm on YouTube as well, although I
wow.
haven't progressed YouTube quite as much. Um, and so a lot of the content that you'll see is a little bit of behind the scenes. I'm currently doing a display that I've always wanted to do, and I'm hoping to film it with my Azteca, which is an Andalusian cross-quarter horse. And so I turn all the lights off in the arena and put a set of wings on that has fairy lights on it, and it looks amazing. So I've just I've just gradually got him to the point where he's okay with shadows, and he's curious, not scared, and he quite loves it. He
Mm.
quite loves being ridden to music, and I'm hoping to make a small production out of it where people can watch a video and have that feeling of connection, of going, wow, I would love to do that one day.
Yeah.
And that was the whole point behind that, and I've wanted to do it since I was little, and I thought, I'm 43 now, I may
Mm.
as well make those little girl dreams come true at some point in my life. And yeah.
Yeah. That's great. So, thank you so much for coming today. It was very interesting, and we are thinking in the same way, I'm sure. And
Isn't it lovely to
yeah,
meet
it is.
others that think the same way, and you just connect on that level where you're like, yeah, that person is one of my tribe. I
Mm.
understand where they're going, why they're doing it, and yeah, it's just lovely.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming here today. And thanks to all of you out there who have been listening to this or seeing it. And please subscribe to this channel so I can carry on with my work and meet people all over the world. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Marie, for being here
Thank
today.
thank you so, so much. It was amazing. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Bye bye.